Hello everyone, it's D Cubed, and today I'm going to be starting a new series of mine. This is going to be my solo competitive series where I climb the Showdown ladder and provide live commentary as I go. So this series is going to be a little different than our Let's Troll Showdown series. One, it's going to be just me. Void is not going to be joining us. And two, this is going to be a little more competitively oriented. While the Troll series was to kind of have fun and troll using unique Pokemon, I'm going to try to ladder up with this series and get as high as I can on the ladder and maybe teach you guys a bit about the game as I go. But the goal here is still fun, so I'm not gonna use completely standard stuff. I'm gonna try to use some fun Pokemon and try to have some fun while I stream. Also, I've tried to put music up with this video, so I hope you guys enjoy that. We're gonna try to get that running with the Troll series also, so just bear with us there. But hopefully we'll have music for this series also. All right, so another thing is I'm gonna be switching teams about every 3 episodes, so it won't get too boring for you guys hopefully. And also I'm gonna be doing about one battle per episode. So I don't want to bore you guys with 30-minute episodes, so I'll try to keep the episodes short and brief. So the first team we're going to be using here is a team that I just recently made after the World Championships. And this team it's kind of anti-metagame, but at the same time I try to take some stuff that seemed to be doing well at Worlds. So I started out with the common core that I've been building around a lot lately, which is my Specs Hydreigon and Banded Landorus from my Nationals team, and then also adding Milotic there. So those 3 were kind of the basis of this team, and then from there I wanted to add I added Amoonguss and Metagross next. I know Metagross was chosen as the Mega for this team because it's a really good anti-metagame Pokemon. It can deal really well with Amoonguss and Cresselia, which really saw a jump in popularity after Worlds. And also I think it's kind of I'm running in a max attack, max speed Metagross here, which is kind of, and also I don't have substitutes. So this Metagross is kind of a little different from the standard one. So I hope to catch some people off guard with this more offensive spread, and also I have the coverage move Ice Punch instead of Substitute, so hopefully that can catch people off guard. So finally I added this Entei here. Entei is kind of a test I'm doing. It's kind of the fun twist of this team. So Sacred Fire, Stone Edge, Bulldoze, and Snarl are really all pretty cool, unique moves. Sacred Fire and Stone Edge are standard on most Entei, but Bulldoze and Snarl are 2 moves I've been playing around with, and I think they're really good support options for Entei. Another thing you'll notice is this Entei's spread is very unique. I went with a really fast and bulky spread. The speed is to try to outspeed all Kangaskhans and Charizards, and the defenses is to take some really powerful hits like Kangaskhan's double edges. And then Amoonguss is on this team kind of just for redirection and support. I needed a grass type, I needed something to deal with Milotic. I needed something to help me beat Trick Room, which was kind of growing in popularity after Worlds. So Amoonguss was kind of that tech Pokemon that I added at the end. And I'm not big on Amoonguss. I'm not a big Amoonguss fan, but I really feel like it fit for this team. I've been toying around with Breloom in that slot also, but we got Amoonguss for now. So enough talk about the team. I'll get into a battle, and we'll see how it goes. I'm starting from the base rating of 1,000 on the ladder. So we're pretty low right now, but our opponent here looks like he has a pretty standard team of Gardevoir, Amoonguss, Machamp, Cresselia, Aegislash, and Charizard. So this is kind of like a Worlds team. Gardevoir, Amoonguss is something we've been seeing a lot more of lately. And it's pretty good against this team actually, so I think I'm going to want to take that into account. I think Metagross is probably the best Pokemon here overall I can lead with. It's going to deal really big damage to that Cresselia. It's going to one-shot the Gardevoir, the Amoonguss, and the Machamp, and then it can outspeed the Charizard, so even though it can take super effective damage, I'll be able to get a Zen Headbutt off first if I need to. So the 2 Pokemon that are really threatening Metagross here is Aegislash and Charizard, and Landorus does pretty well against both those Pokemon, so I'm debating even Landorus here. I think I'm going to do that. My opponent doesn't really have too many ways to outspeed and KO Landorus. His biggest threat to it is Ice Beam from that Cresselia. Metagross can kind of scare off that Cresselia. Hydreigon is also a really good Pokemon to have in this game. It's going to beat that Charizard, that Aegislash, and it really hits all of my opponent's Pokemon for huge damage. So Hydreigon is going to be a big asset here. And I could bring Amoonguss because my opponent is most likely going to want to set up a Trick Room here. But I think I'm leaning towards Entei. Yeah, Entei is going to be good here. Especially if my opponent sets up Sun for me, I can do a lot of damage to that Gardevoir with Sacred Fire. I can also hit that Charizard really hard with Stone Edge. So Entei is a pretty good tech Pokemon to have in the back end of this matchup. And my opponent leads Machamp Cresselia, so this pretty much screams Trick Room to me. So I'm going to want to take every precaution I can to make sure that Trick Room does not go up here. And I think double targeting the Cresselia might be the best way to ensure that happens. I think my opponent's going to be really scared of that Metagross. He's also intimidated, so I don't think Machamp's going to want to stay in here or he's going to protect. So I think I'm going to go straight for the Iron Head. I could go Rock Slide for the flinch chance on Cresselia. I don't think Iron Head plus Stone Edge is going to KO, so I'm actually going to go for the Rock Slide here. Alright, so my opponent stays with Machamp, and he doesn't attack. So that's a good move on his part. So we'll see if we can pick up any flinches here. He goes for the Dynamic Punch on a Landorus, which is going to be annoying, but it's not doing too much damage, and he gets the Trick Room up. So a very good turn for my opponent there. I kind of outpaced him in terms of damage, but he's got a lot of offensive momentum now going for him. He can immediately out Dynamic Punch that Metagross now, so I think that my best play here is to kind of get myself in a more favorable matchup against that Machamp. So I'm going to protect Metagross here, because I know that Dynamic Punch is coming my way. And I think I'll switch out Landorus to get that Intimidate back and to unconfuse that Landorus. And Entei can take an incoming Ice Beam here. So this is a pretty safe turn. I'm kind of maneuvering myself into a better position to face off against the combination of Cresselia and Machamp. Alright, yeah, and he does just go for the Dynamic Punch Ice Beam, which is fine by me. So we take very minimal damage there, and the Cresselia heals both leftovers. So now I'm going to try to get that Zen Headbutt off. Our opponent has been pretty adamant about leaving that Machamp on the field. So I'm going to assume that I think I'll be able to get this Zen Headbutt off pretty safely. And then what do we want to do with Entei is the question. I think I'm going to Snarl in case Snarl's going to really weaken that Cresselia in the future. And I think if my opponent switches out Machamp, the Gardevoir might come in, or the Aegislash might come in. So Snarl's going to be really getting close to Pokemon. The Machamp has Stone Edge, but that does almost no damage at all. And he skill swaps the Metagross. Alright, so this guy just keeps surprising me with cool tricks he's got. That skill swap might actually let him take this in, but no, alright, yeah, Metagross is just too good. Alright, so a little scary turn there, but that Stone Edge did not do much damage, so Entei is actually showing off that huge defensive investment that I showed you guys earlier in the set. He brings in Gardevoir, which is not really a threat to Metagross unless it has Hidden Power Ground. And I think I can take a Helping Hand to the Power Ground, so I'm going to go straight for the Iron Head on the Gardevoir. Normally you'd want to protect here, but he's going to have another turn anyway. So I think I want to kind of catch my opponent off guard and just Iron Head that Gardevoir right away. And then I'll just Snarl with Entei and try to decrease. My opponent has two special attackers on the field. He does make a smart move and protect, and he Ice Beams Metagross. So maybe fishing for a freeze there, I don't know. But I'm going to get another Snarl off, and this Cresselia is just becoming increasingly useless. So I think I'm just going to go for the exact same play of this turn. Iron Head Snarl is pretty safe here. My opponent is not in a very good position here. I like how he got up Trick Room up. He kind of made a gutsy play and it paid off for him. He's got the Shadow Ball. But as I said, I can live any attack from that Gardevoir, and I'm going to get the Snarl off, and the Iron Head should pick up the KO here. As it does. Alright, so I think this is going to seal up the game for me. So as I was saying earlier, my opponent, he got up Trick Room. He got Trick Room up very nicely, and I was impressed of his turn 1 play. But I just didn't think he didn't bring the right Pokemon to take advantage of that Trick Room. Like right now, an Aegislash could have really been threatening my Metagross all these turns, and it could be threatening the Wide Guard from the Landorus. So I think my opponent might have made a mistake not bringing Aegislash here to better take advantage of that Trick Room. Because his Gardevoir and Amoonguss really aren't doing anything at all to Metagross, who's kind of been a huge problem for my opponent here. So you see how good Metagross can be against kind of standard teams like this. Metagross, I mean, you saw it. It won a KO that Machamp, it won a KO Gardevoir, and it can also win a KO Amoonguss. So it's just a huge asset to have against teams like this. So here, my opponent made the gutsy play turn 1 and didn't protect his partner while he Trick Roomed. So I'm going to assume he's going to do that again. So I'm going to Zen Headbutt the Amoonguss. And I think I'll go for the Sacred Fire on Cresselia. I've lowered the special attack enough, and I want to just start getting that residual damage of the burn. And he doesn't protect Amoonguss, so I made the right call there. Zen Headbutt obviously is not going to KO because my opponent swapped away my Tough Claws ability. But he's going to go for the Giga on Metagross, which isn't even going to KO. And then he's going to set up Trick Room again. So I think I'm still in a pretty good position here. So I'm just going to protect Metagross, who I think my opponent's going to want to get rid of with Amoonguss or Cresselia, and I'm going to Sacred Fire the Amoonguss. Alright, so he spores that Entei, which is a good play on his part, but he still doesn't really have any traction here. I doubt my opponent has any way to pull this out. Alright, so he's gonna... No matter what he does here, I'm pretty safe just Ice Punching that Amoonguss and Sacred Firing it also. It's Substitute Amoonguss. My opponent has a lot of tricks. I like my opponent's team, I just don't think he played it right against the Metagross. Yeah, the Metagross was a huge problem for my opponent. I think that's kind of where he went wrong in this set. I guess I'll bring in Hydreigon here. Hydreigon can just take more hits than that Landorus can. I want to bring out Landorus after the Trick Room's gone. So my opponent's going to Spore Hydreigon here, but that's fine. I'm just going to Dark Force Cresselia and Sacred Fire that Amoonguss. So yeah, so at this point we're kind of just cleaning up. We're taking some damage that we might not want to from that Spore from the Amoonguss, but alright, Entei wakes up here. It's going to break that Substitute, so that's nice. And I'm just going to make the exact play here. I mean, I'm in a position now where I don't really need to make any plays. I'm kind of just waiting for my Pokemon to wake up, and I'm just going to deal damage accordingly. So my opponent just continues to Spore and Ice Beam. He's not getting off very much damage, and I think my Lander should be able to clean up here, even if he manages to knock out Hydreigon. So Trick Room is going to end, so both my Pokemon have a chance of waking up here. So that's nice. Hopefully I'll get at least one attack off. Entei stays asleep, but Hydreigon's going to get that Dark Pulse off. Almost KOs the Cresselia. He goes for another Substitute, and he gets up another Trick Room. So my opponent's playing pretty nicely. I mean, he's got a cool team. He's managing the game pretty well for the position he's in. That Amoonguss is kind of a threat in a Trick Room. This is a situation where bringing my own Amoonguss might have helped because I could just be sporing that Cresselia right now. And I could just start Trick Room and then continuously hit that Amoonguss. He gets a crit Ice Beam. I'm going to wake up with Entei and get that Snarl off, which is going to bring down Cresselia. And Cresselia is really his only offensive option here, so Amoonguss, there's no way Amoonguss can close this game. And you see that Snarl is a move that hits the Substitute. So that Substitute isn't really going to mean much, and that Amoonguss is going to be going down very quickly, and his Trick Room turns are going out just as we speak. So this game is going to be over. Again, I can't stress how important that Metagross was in this matchup. It just did so much work in this game. I'm really impressed by Metagross's anti-metagating abilities. He hits a lot of common metagame Pokemon for huge damage, and that was just completely, just absolutely. His ability to counter this team is just so great. So good game for Metagross there. My opponent's going to bring down Hydreigon, but I should get a Sacred Fire off here, and that should end the game. Oh, I actually went for Snarl. Not sure why I did that. Just not thinking at this point. Alright, so Trick Room's going to end, and that's going to be game for my opponent. So this is a really good first game. I think it really showcased this team well, especially my choice of Mega and Metagross. That was a big game for Metagross, as I've been stressing. Also Entei. I think Entei was kind of the hidden helper of this game. He did a lot of work with the Snarl, hitting from the substitutes, and kind of making that Cresselia a useless threat. You saw how little those Cresselia's Ice Beams were doing to Hydreigon, and that's in part thanks to Entei's Snarl, who really allowed him to stall these last few turns here. Each time was a pretty long game, and these last few turns my opponent was just kind of Ice Beaming and Sporing. And those Ice Beams would have been a lot more detrimental to me if I hadn't got off those two Snarls on that Cresselia. So Entei did some work there, preventing my opponent from closing it out on a Trick Room. Then I just could bring in my heavy hitters like Landorus and Hydreigon and just kind of finish up the game from there. So Metagross and Entei both did a lot of work that game. I was very impressed with this team. So I hope you guys like this series. It'll be one that I plan on continuing, maybe releasing weekly episodes. So let me know what you thought of the series, and I'll see you guys next time in D Cubed vs Showdown.